Every few months I give an update on the car market, and this update is going to be absolutely massive. The car market is currently undergoing a huge transition. Let's get right into it. Let's start things off by going over the Cox Automotive sales forecast. They recently released this. So they estimate there's going to be between 15.6 to 16.3 million new vehicles sold in 2025. Their original forecast was 16.3. So they've actually slightly revised their forecast down by having it within that range. Now, new retail sales, right? This is the dealership sales, 12.8 to 13.3, original forecast 13.3. Fleet sales, 2.7 to 2.9 million units, original forecast was 3 million. So they basically revised everything down because things are starting to slow down in the car market. New lease volume, 3.1 to 3.3 million units. Original forecast was 3.3. Lease penetration, 25%. So that's completely unchanged. Now, certified pre-owned sales, 2.4 to 2.6 million. Their original forecast was 2.5. So they actually have upped that a little bit because I think more people are going to go for certified pre-owned. And I'll talk about why that is the case in this video. Now, used vehicle sales, 37.5 to 38.3 million units. Original forecast was 37.8. So they've actually revised this up. Now, used retail sales, 19.9 to 20.3 million. Original forecast was 20.1, so slightly revised up. I mean, it could end on the lower end of the range, but again, they've slightly revised things up. And then when it comes to used vehicle values, 2.1 to 2.8% up is what their new forecast is. Their original was 1.4%. So what they're basically saying is that there are going to be more used cars sold this year, more certified pre-owned cars sold this year, and used car values are going to increase, whereas new cars are going to see fewer cars sold in the year. The volume is going to go down with new car sales. Now, this is really big news because we are still currently in a depressed car market. We're seeing 17 to 18 plus million new cars sold per year prior to the pandemic, and we can't get anywhere close to that. And so this shows that the new car market is still significantly smaller than what it was before the pandemic, and it's not recovering anymore. It is just sitting where it's at. We have seen consistency over the last few years where we've been in that 15 to 16 million unit range per year. But on the other hand, we're seeing tons of resilience and strength within the used car market. Not only are used car sales increasing, there's more people buying used cars, the prices are continuing to either stay stable or increase as time goes on. So this means that used cars are continuing to get more and more valuable as new cars are continuing to get less and less valuable. So why is this happening? Why are new cars not selling, and why are used cars selling at an accelerated pace and increasing in value? And it comes down to what is currently offered on the new car market and the prices of new cars. What we've seen over the last few years is that new cars have had this trend where they have continued to get more complex, they have more features, smaller displacement engines. The reliability has gone down, but the price has been continuing to increase. I mean, if you went and bought a car 10 years ago and then you look at a similar car today, what you're going to see is, on average, that car is going to be over $10,000 more expensive. The engine is going to be about half the size in terms of displacement, and it's going to have a turbocharger. Fuel economy is not going to be any better in the real world. It's going to have a much bigger screen, if your car even had a screen 10 years ago, which many cars did, but some cars did not. Just depends on what you were looking at. And so you're going to have all these tech features, and you're going to have this smaller engine. It's going to be way more expensive. And then when you look at the reliability rating, everything continues to go downhill. I mean, I was just looking at the reliability rating of Lexus, and they now have a reliability rating of over 100 problems for 100 cars. Lexus used to be the brand where there were fewer than 100 problems per 100 cars. And so now it's like, if you buy a Lexus, on average, every single Lexus is going to have an issue. And if you look at Toyota, it's a little bit better, but it's a similar situation where reliability has gone downhill. And those are, two of the most reliable brands out there. Now, piggyback this with what we just went over on the used car market. Used car prices are going up at the same time that used car sales are increasing, and it makes perfect sense. What people are choosing to do is exactly what my wife and I chose to do, and that is buy an older, more simplistic used car that is more reliable. And although, the price on this used car is closer to its original MSRP, whereas we could get a bigger discount on a new car. Well, the new car prices have increased so much that we were still able to get our used cars for less money than the equivalent versions brand new. Brand new, this Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro stickered for $66,000. We were able to pick it up used for about $50,000. Now, a brand new Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro with a V6 instead of the V8 that we have stickers for over $80,000. And so even though we paid not too much off of the original MSRP price on this Sequoia, we're still $30,000 less expensive than a brand new version. Now, the other used car that we bought last year is this Land Cruiser Heritage Edition. Brand new, this was about $90,000, and we were able to get it just over $80,000. It was very low mileage, 12,000 miles. Toyota doesn't offer the 300 series Land Cruiser here in the US with a Toyota badge. They only offer it with a Lexus badge. The Lexus LX 700H Overtrail is the closest comparable vehicle to this 200 series Land Cruiser, and that's stickers for about $116,000. After options, they're usually about $118,000. So even though we only paid $10,000 lower than the original MSRP on this Heritage Edition, we're still $40,000 less expensive than if we'd bought the new version. So here's what it comes down to. These new cars are just too expensive. But here's the problem. Automakers kind of have their hands tied. Many of these automakers have union workers in their factories, and this video isn't to crap on union workers, but it is to mention the point that union workers have recently seen huge wage increases. Many of them are making well over 6 figures, and so with that, the automakers have had to pass those extra costs on to consumers, and consumers are not willing to pay those extra costs, again, when they are getting a product that has a smaller displacement engine, that doesn't get any better fuel economy, that has more tech, and again, comes in at a much higher price tag. What will fix this situation? Well, it comes down to a few things. Automakers need to reconsider their current pricing schemes. It's obviously not working. I film for over 70 dealers, and what I am seeing consistently is dealers are having to discount cars a massive amount just to convince people to show up. And then they have to discount the cars even more to convince people to buy, and even then, many people are not willing to buy. This shows that new cars are overpriced based on what consumers are willing to pay for those new cars. The prices have to come down. And I think that one of the ways that these prices can come down, I know this is going to be very unpopular, but it comes down to maybe the automakers need to actually lower their overall production costs, i.e. lower the wages, not only of the workers, but I think the CEOs and the other big wigs at these car companies. Everyone probably needs to take a pay cut so they can lower the prices and hand on those savings to the consumers. Is that ever going to happen? No, we all know that. But if automakers did that and they focused on reliability and didn't focus so much on adding every bit of tech and making the engines as small as humanly possible, then people would go and be way more excited about buying these new cars. And so I guess if I put this into a numbers perspective, new cars need to have their reliability rating increased by at least 50%. Prices need to come down by at least $10,000 on average across the board. The average brand new car is almost $50,000. It needs to be closer to $40,000. Do that and the car market will absolutely explode. People will stop overpaying for these used cars because they'll see that they could get something just as good, if not better, on the new car market for a reasonable price. That's all.